Okay, welcome everybody to our July 22nd Finance and Administration Committee. Let's see here. We've got some standing reports that are in the agenda for those looking at home. And then we'll kick it off here with our 2024 investment report. If I see Connor. Oh, there we go. Perfect.
Presentation in there. Oh, perfect. Awesome. All right, good afternoon, Council. Thank you for your time today. I'm going to go over the investment report for Q2 of 2024. Oops, and next slide.
Is there a pointer? Connor, I can go
This thing here?
over it for you.
Okay.
Is the keyboard not over there?
This thing? Oh, sweet. Okay, great, thank you. All right, so we're going to cover a couple topics today, just current cash and investment balances, as well as composition and performance of our portfolio. So at the end of Q2, our current portfolio balance is sitting at $345 million, and you can kind of see the changeover from Q1 at $326 million. Follows quite closely with our overall seasonality trends, quarterly seasonality, as you can see in the chart below. The main drivers there in Q2 are driven from property tax increases that we saw in May. That's really the main driver. We did have a few fixed income investment maturities that came in, and I'll touch on those in the next few slides. So overall composition of the portfolio is relatively unchanged from the last presentation. Our portfolio is largely built of federal agency securities, about 51%, and you can note the other allocations included there in the pie chart to the left. But overall call out in this slide is that we're within policy compliance among every category within our investment policy. In Q2, we had two maturities, two U.S. Treasury maturities, one in April and the other in June, each at $5 million. We didn't have any fixed income purchases within Q2. 100% of that money was reinvested back into the LGIP, or Local Government Investment Pool. And looking at our further composition, mainly liquidity, our short-term liquidity sits at $215 million, or 59%. And you can see an overall 12-month view of our portfolio cash flows in the chart at the bottom of this slide. And feel free to stop me if I'm moving too fast or if you have any questions. Overall performance, our unrealized loss or on-paper loss within the portfolio was $9.3 million. This time last year, that was at about $12.4 million. So kind of been able to improve tremendously within that regard. And then interest income sits at $5.9 million, and that's built upon both LGIP interest and fixed income interest. And that number last year at this time was $5.4 million, and we are on par to hit budget for that interest income category. And just to provide a check on where we are in our portfolio versus our benchmark, so our portfolio is on the left there in dark blue, and then the benchmark is included in the light blue off to the right. So overall, we're pretty much neck and neck in regards to maturity and duration. And duration is going to be key because that's going to be a performance metric in regards to interest rate risk within a portfolio. So the more we can keep that within our benchmark, the better we're going to be in an interest rate changing environment. And we'll kind of see how that goes for the next year and then into next year as well. Coupon, we were able to outperform quite a bit, relative to the benchmark, and then yield to maturity, able to improve that quite a bit. Still kind of lagging a little bit behind the benchmark, but we've drastically improved that from last year at this time. Any questions regarding the portfolio? None?
Seeing none. Thank you off the hook.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Appreciate it.
Thanks.
And then we've got 3 resolutions from the Community Assembly, and Jacoby is going to introduce those. We are kind of working through a new process where we're trying to essentially provide a pathway for some of our partners, such as neighborhood councils and community assembly, to have their resolutions heard in a public format, and then potentially some sort of a response or action related to that. So this is the first time we're including them on the committee agenda, and so we'll kick it off and have Jacoby
Yep.
give us the update.
I think you summarized that really well. This is a new process. I think future opportunity to embed it in our rules some way, shape, or form. We also received a letter from East Spokane Business Association around transportation issues. That'll show up on a PIES committee. And then council president is assigning central staff members to work on a formal recommendation to council based on all of these letters or resolutions to you all. So the idea is that everybody's going to get a response that the council office has received their resolution or letter, and that somebody from the council office staff is working on a recommendation for you all to take formal action or provide a letter, some sort of explanation out of the council office based on the requests.
And then do you have the any of the text that you can just give a broad kind of generalized overview?
I don't have my computer with me right now, but transportation fund-wise, the Community Assembly would like a more regular update on the amount of funding in that pot, and for that pot to be only spent on traffic calming related items, and some more frequent touches with engineering. The GFCs and the moratorium resolutions, I think Chris was assigned to that one, and maybe he could give an update on that at the next committee meeting.
Are those delayed? Have those been like passed a few months back?
Yep, those were passed a few months back, and
Okay.
yeah, working with the Community Assembly, they said, hey, we never heard back on these things, and we said, well, we don't really have a formal way of sending requests, resolutions through our pipeline, so we kind of created one using these as a template.
Perfect. Any comments, questions? Go ahead.
I'll comment on, when you look at them, some of these were passed, last year. Obviously, there was one in December, one in November, and then one in July of last year. So the one in July of last year was about the GFCs and talking about what they'd like to see. The one about traffic calming funds was in November. The one in December, I think, is interesting because, again, it lays out support for a second moratorium that shall remain in place until we do 3 things. One of them is develop a plan to improve the roads, bridges, to ensure emergency response and evacuation, public transportation access, environmental protection, schools and wildland, urban interface mitigation, and a fire station in Lake Top Valley to replace a temporary facility in use since 2015. 2, this is going to be the much more difficult one for us to accomplish, secure funding from city, state, and federal sources to support this plan. Unless we adopt a TIF and get that going pretty quickly, we're in a budget situation. We don't have the money to be able to do those, which means we won't be able, if we were to follow this plan, we wouldn't be able to develop out there until we had that. And then I think also interesting in here is that they mentioned the 5 Mile Prairie and the North Indian Trail areas, which gives me concern that maybe that's something that's on our agenda as well, that maybe we would impose another moratorium, except for this time not in the Latah area, but up in the 5 Mile and the North Indian Trail parts of the city.
Okay. Any other thoughts, comments related to the resolutions? Hearing none. Okay. Thank you very much, Jacoby. First up here on our discussion items, Adam McDaniel, repealing inactive funds.
Yeah, so this is similar to the process we did a couple months ago about repealing some of the old boards and commissions. This just identified funds in SMC 0708 that are no longer utilized and just repeals those.
So I was, sorry, you go ahead. You had a question first.
I was just going to say I appreciate the thoughtfulness that we're taking on this to things that aren't in use. Get rid of them. Let's move on. I appreciate you guys taking that on.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, my question was just looking at the draft. It says, this section repealed, this section repealed. Are those the funds that are being, okay, so I'll have to go back into the code.
I
And,
mean, I can name them off now if you'd like.
yeah, if you would, that'd be great.
Yeah. So the Alcohol Rehabilitation Fund, the Employment and Training Funds, River Point Property Acquisition Fund, Housing Stabilization Program Fund, CBD Tree Maintenance Fund, Spokane Regional Emergency Communications System Fund, UDAG Fund, Workforce Investment Fund, Facilities Bond Redemption and Construction Funds, City Hall Debt Service Fund, Intermodal Facility Fund, Capital Improvements 1999 Fund, and Rate Stabilization Fund.
And is there any money in any of those funds?
No.
Okay. All right. Any other thoughts, questions? Okay.
I had a quick question.
Please.
I was just wondering if you know the history, I guess it depends on the fund, but why they are no longer being utilized?
I think that's probably a good question for finance, how each of those funds are probably expired a long time ago. We started this looking at budgets from 2014, though. And if there was not funding in it then we put it on the list.
Very good. Okay. Thank you so much. Ariel. And this is Healthcare Authority contract pilot for street medicine.
Yes, thank you. I think it's probably important to give just a little bit of background to tell you how we got here. So this grant was a collaborative effort with the former governor, Gregoire, along with Challenge Seattle, our mayor, Mayor Brown, and Chaz, and 4 other counties on the west side. And through that collaborative effort, they were able to secure $1 million per county, essentially, to either, to implement or augment existing street medicine teams. Here in Spokane, we have a street medicine team that is operated by Chaz Medical, and so this would basically formalize and expand in a couple of different ways. So formalize by way of data collection. The contract itself is very specific with what data collection is expected. In addition to that, it would actually expand the current hours. So I think one of the key components to this contract or to this funding that's attached to this funding is that we would, that street medicine team would be able to deploy in the evening and weekends, not just those business hours between 9 and 5. The other difference is that this would specifically target the unsheltered population and provide the medical care, the behavioral health component. There's a peer navigator that's involved as well, and just overall case management. So, yeah, I can answer some
Questions
more
or
questions.
comments?
So,
Go ahead.
So one-time funding is $1 million. It's not a reoccurring.
It's not. So it's a pilot program, July 1 through June 30 of 2025.
My question, just looking at the briefing paper here, it says that the new contract will assist the street medicine team in their efforts to find permanent, transitional, or emergency housing while also providing critical medical care. So it sounds like the medical care is sort of secondary to the identifying housing, and the team envisioned in this contract, I'm quoting, it says, medical doctor, physician assistant, nurse practitioner, behavioral health specialist at the master's level, and either a certified peer or community health worker. I'm just wondering, why is there not a realtor on there or some sort of expert person in that area? Like, I don't want to be paying doctors' wages to go find apartments, right? Like, that is not appropriate.
Sure.
And so I'm trying to understand, how is this working?
So thank you for that feedback. I will course correct that. So I think what I was trying to convey in that is that oftentimes the peer and the peer or the CHW, that individual would be the one that would be assisting with that housing navigation. Right now, Dr. Manriquez, for example, and physician's assistant, the nurse practitioner, that is not their wheelhouse, right, is finding housing. Through these funds, that would actually kind of tighten up that collaboration, and I believe that CHW or that peer would be that individual to help assist with the housing component. I wanted to be sure that not to just focus on permanent housing, right? Because it's not just going straight to a unit, but that success might mean access to emergency shelter or transitional. But I will be sure to.
That'd
Yeah.
be great. Any
Yeah.
other comments, questions? Go ahead.
I would just be concerned that a realtor, because most of this would be subsidized housing, HUD housing, if we have realtors who really specialize in that area that, because it is a pretty tight niche. So it'd be interesting, Councilmember Cathcart, if there's one who was
Yeah, and
actually
I-
interested in providing that service.
And I just use that word generically,
Yeah.
property
I see what you're
managers, you know,
saying.
whomever,
I
but,
understand.
but yeah.
Yeah.
Did you have a?
Well, that was my point, is that I think Realtor was just used as somebody who, again, is an expert in connecting people to housing, makes a lot more sense than a doctor. I think that was your point. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I think that is the overall point of this pilot program, is to make sure that that housing piece of it is very intentionally connected to that medical care that's given, so.
And then just last thing I would say is, you know, we talk a lot about trying to address these issues holistically and trying to, you know, I talk a lot about economies of scale, and I think back to Houston, and one of the things that we learned when we were down there was they had, I want to think it was 8 to 10 full-time people that just spent all day on the phone calling landlords, trying to identify vacant spaces. You know, they were empowered to offer certain certain amounts for incentives and things like that. And that was a part of their navigation center program. And so I think that there's a lot of different providers as well as different city agencies likely that are engaged in just trying to identify housing options. And so is there a way to coalesce all of that together into one unit and really have a better economy of scale and outcomes? So.
Yeah, so we actually do have we have a diversion subcommittee by way of the continuum of care, and one of the experts on there. Well, we have many. We have several different landlord liaisons that exist within the system, and those are housed at Family Promise, Spokane Housing Authority, Catholic Charities, and there are that is very much a topic, right? So that we're not working in silos, but rather working collectively. In order to make sure that we're not duplicating services. So, and many of our contracts include provisions or line item budget amounts specifically for landlord incentives. So, and to your point, that is absolutely key, is cultivating those relationships with landlords, private and public as well. So, yeah.
Well, I just am excited about this program and taking advantage of this grant. I think that this street medicine program that Chaz has is essential. It couldn't be more needed. And I'm glad that we're taking advantage of this pilot program. We hear from constituents every single day about our opioid and overdose epidemics, and I really hope this helps.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you.
Appreciate it. Next up is SERS Board. Board membership, Adam?
Yeah, so this ordinance just updates the membership of the SERS Board, taking it from 7 to 9 members. It adds the mayor or the mayor's designee. It codifies the city council member's position, and it adds an additional employee representation. It also, the SERS Board has agreed with this change. They've concurred with it. The employees support this change as well. They had a couple of suggested changes that we've incorporated into the ordinance, and I think it's good to go.
Questions, comments? When you say employees support it, is that Local 270?
Yeah.
Okay.
The employee representatives on the board.
Gotcha. Yes.
Yeah, I don't remember the board meeting where I don't know if we publicly supported it or not, but yeah, I've reached out to a couple because I thought we were still working on this, but we'll see. Thank you.
Cool.
Very good. All right, thank you. Keeping families together, Andres?
Hello, Council. This is a resolution that does a couple of things. One of them is endorsing a new executive directive that directs the Department of Homeland Security to establish a process for certain non-citizen spouses of U.S. citizens to apply for permanent residence without having to leave the country. If I could just read a little background from the DHS's website. Under current law, non-citizens married to U.S. citizens may apply for lawful permanent residence through their marriage to the U.S. citizen. However, to apply for lawful permanent residence, many non-citizens must first depart the United States and wait to be processed abroad, resulting in prolonged, potentially indefinite period of separation from their U.S. citizen family members and causing tremendous hardship to all concerned. So this establishes a process for them to be able to apply for lawful permanent residence without having to leave the country. We also do a couple of other things. We add federal relief for immigration legal assistance to the council's list of federal legislative priorities. I've talked to Eric about this. He said he's going to do some research, see what's out there for us to apply to. We also want to put in there that we want to support any local organizations that provide support for our immigrant population. Yeah.
What does that mean to you?
Support?
Support any local organization. The word any and local organization. Just
I'd say, well, any local organization that provides support for our immigrant population. So I know that there's some organizations that provide legal support, housing support, like job support, you know, some people that help people, our immigrant population apply for jobs and whatnot.
But I would just argue it's broadly written, which implies political endorsements and things of that nature. And so is it limited to just 501c3s or what's the focus?
Yeah, I guess that's a good question. We aren't specific as to what organizations. We just put any organization that supports our immigrant population. So.
And then when we're supporting them, what does that mean?
Yeah, I think support could come in form of, like, if Eric does find some grants and stuff like that provide support for like legal support for immigrant population, we could help them in that way. We also have an equity subcommittee, a human rights commission that, like, another thing in there is hosting town halls. So I'm sure that's something that our equity subcommittee could be tasked with, or our human rights commission. Yeah, but it's pretty broad language in there. So.
Okay. Oh, go ahead.
So I hear you, Councilmember Cathcart, versus a 501c3 versus a C4, which is
An activist organization.
Yes, but I'm thinking of support as in legislative support, not that we have to take the lead, but we could support immigrant communities that are researching, looking for funding, housing, workforce, employment, all of the above. So I don't, and if there's grants, maybe I would see that as writing a letter of support for a grant if one came up, or if there's something in the legislature locally or on the federal level that the city could support for our immigrant population, that would be in their best interest. So I can see it both ways. I didn't immediately go to a political position. Maybe that my mind didn't go to the border. I think that's where a lot of people's mind went, was to the border. But I think we should keep it open as to what it looks like. And whatever that support looks like would be voted on council to support that.
Go ahead.
Yeah, the language itself says, be it also resolved that the city of Spokane will support the efforts of local organizations that work towards keeping non-citizen families together and achieving family unity. So yeah, I think there's just ways that we could tweak that to make it more kind of localized and think about some of those potential partners and efforts are.
Yeah, I understand the concern of how broad the language is, but like Council President said, I think we wanted to keep it kind of open-ended because there's lots of support in different forms that we could provide to these organizations. So.
And then there's a final, therefore?
Yeah. The City of Spokane will support the efforts of local organizations that provide legal assistance for immigrants towards legal permanent residency. I think that goes along with asking for federal support if there is any out there. I think that those two go hand in hand.
Okay. And that's it?
Well, I guess there's another one. The City of Spokane will support the efforts of local organizations that work toward, that's the one that Councilmember Dillon just read. There's a couple hosting town halls, like I said, that.
Is there not one that sort of endorses an immigration policy?
Oh yeah, there is. So the first one actually is the City of Spokane officially endorses the new policy articulated by the federal administration with respect to immigrants and non-citizen families. The one that I just talked about, where the DHS is establishing that process.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yep.
Any other? Go ahead.
Yeah. Along these lines, I understand wanting to keep it broad. I think there's a couple specific things that we can add in there that we don't want to see. For example, even like Councilmember Cathcart said, the political support. I don't think that that's necessary to support immigrant families here.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I'm curious to know when it comes to a federal piece of legislation, because it's actually never federal legislation. It's just executive orders, and those change, by administration. And so, if to say a new president were elected, what would we do then in that situation?
I mean, I imagine that resolutions can be repealed. I don't exactly know if that's true or not, but if there is a new administration that repeals this executive order or whatever, I imagine that if there's interest, the council could just repeal this resolution.
If there was to be a new administration coming in November, any of the families that would take advantage of and put in applications for Keep Families Together executive order, if it is repealed, those families would still keep the process would go through. So I believe that I will want that resolution to stay, not be repealed, because then it will support the families that have already paperwork in the immigration system to become legal.
And there are other things in there that, other than endorsing that process, that I think are good in general, other than just supporting that executive directive.
Go ahead.
On this, the last one, I guess I would like some more information on what it means to support the efforts of local organizations that provide legal citizenship or legal assistance for immigrants toward legal permanent residency and eventually citizenship. Again, what is that the city of Spokane is supporting? How are we supporting?
Yeah, those are good questions. We could get more specific, but like Council President said, I think if we get that legal funding from the feds, that could be a way to support them. If they want a letter of support from us that helps them get a grant or anything like that, those are just a couple examples off the top of my head, but I'm sure there's lots of ways that we do already support organizations like these, and we can just continue to in the future.
Yeah. How would we monitor our support for those organizations? Because one of the things that I understand is happening is that many organizations that are supporting immigrants as they're coming into this country, many are coaching specifically illegal immigrants as they're coming in on how to best get around the system or how to hit the loopholes. For example, as people are coming across the southern border, they're being coached on, say that you fear for your safety, right? And then also say that you need to go to a place like New York. That's your final destination, because federal immigration judges are so backed up. And so organizations like that, how do we support organizations that are wanting to help immigrant families while also making sure that we're not supporting people skirting the laws of the United States?
I haven't heard of organizations helping people break the law in that way, so I couldn't really comment on that.
They're not breaking the law, right? What they're doing is well within the current system as it's established, but it is an intentional skirting of the process on how to stay here the longest without having to see a judge.
Yeah, that's a good question. Like I said, I haven't heard of organizations helping people skirt the law or break the law in any kind of way. But if that is happening, then yeah, that's a good point. We should figure out a way to. I think if that is happening, it goes beyond this resolution. That kind of is outside of the scope of this resolution. We should maybe do something about that in general.
But the language is pretty blanket support, so, I mean, I'm not sure this resolution would do that, but go ahead.
Okay, so just to make it clear, the resolution is to support keeping families together. I don't know if you're familiar with how the process works. Our undocumented immigrants, if they are married to a U.S. citizen, they put in their paperwork. If that is, approved by DHS, and they go out of the country. Oftentimes, it's a toss-up if their paperwork is valid or not, then they get to stay in their home countries, therefore separating, the families. With this executive order, they don't have to get out of the country, they would stay. So we are supporting those families so they don't separate. Your comment, Councilmember Bengal, about being coached, it's often that us as immigrants here, I don't know, honestly, where this is coming from. I can assure you for sure that the immigrants, refugees that have come lately are not coached like that. They come either by asylum or for needs, but it's not that they are told to, oh, say this because, they will let you stay here, or tell them that you need to go to New York or Chicago or Seattle so you can stay here. No. I would probably invite you to maybe visit some of these families and get the real story. But again, this resolution is mainly supporting the organizations that have always helped undocumented immigrants become documented legally, not separating from their families, and also help them with, hopefully with financial support on getting the paperwork in, because the applications cost up to $800, just one application to get it through. And if it's denied, then they will reapply again, and then, those $800 take a lot for that family to earn. So just to clarify.
And I would say if this was solely focused on that specific issue, then it's a different thing. But these are, in the Also Resolved, they're very broad statements that are being made that reach outside of that one particular issue. And I did spend days down at the border. I did speak with people as they were coming across. And so this is not something that I've heard from any one organization. I spent days with the sheriff, spent days with different Border Patrol officers, with the immigrants themselves. And so this is not somebody told me. I did verify this with my own eyes and my own ears.
Just a quick question. So just a quick comment. So the city would not be running the programs. We are writing a letter of support to the organizations that are serving the people who live in Spokane. I guess I'm a little concerned about the undertone, because there are many immigrants of all cultures that are coming to America, and this whole coaching thing, I think that's been happening for a long time, Councilmember Bingle, whether culturally, whatever culture it might be. So to say that these organizations would be intentionally breaking the law, and if they're not intentionally breaking the law, and they're meeting the letter of the law and the spirit of the law, then the organization is living up to its commitment to do the work. There will always be somebody out there who is trying to skirt the system. It's never going to be 100%. If 95% of the people who are coming in, we have to really look at this holistically. So really, if we could do the work as a city to support our nonprofits that are here, that are doing the work, that are helping all the cultures or immigrants that are coming to our city, I think it's critical that we lean into that work, because our workforce needs it. Our workforce is diverse. The workforce of the 21st century is not going to be what it looks like currently. It will be multicultural. And if we don't start looking at that, our businesses will be challenged. So I think it's a great start. We do what we can. We monitor as we can. We stay within the law, and then we help the people who make Spokane home.
Yeah, Council President, what are the undertones that you're speaking to there?
Well, you just said you went down to the border, so it made me speak Hispanic, Latino population, but people are coming in from other countries as well.
Significant.
Without a doubt.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
So,
yes.
But you just specifically spoke to the border, that you had been down there, and that you had spoken to that.
Is that not where many of these folks from other parts of the world are coming into the
Also
United
coming.
States?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
The border.
Yeah.
And the Canadian border at that.
And the Canadian border as well. Thank you. Councilmember Klitzky, oh, is that my meeting?
Oh, go ahead.
Thanks, Michael. I think this ordinance, it's not even an ordinance. It's a resolution. It's to support families that are in Spokane, trying to stay in Spokane. So I think some of these concerns aren't really relevant to Spokane. We're getting a little bit outside of the scope in this discussion. This discussion is for people who are seeking asylum, who came here, who have spouses here, who need to stay because their families are here. They're already working here. They're already contributing to our community, and they're trying to not have to leave the country to get citizenship. They're seeking a legal path to citizenship in our community.
Andres, could you send a link? And you can send it to the whole council, but I would love to get a link to the specific policy that this is endorsing.
Yeah,
I don't know exactly. It's very broadly written, the new policy. So I'm just not sure what that is.
Yeah, for sure.
Thank you. Anything?
Oh, sorry. And to Councilmember Bingle's point, I get your concern of not wanting to break the law or help organizations that are breaking the law. If people in Texas or New Mexico or California are doing that, like you said, you visited the southern border, this has nothing to do with them. You know, we're just trying to help our local organizations, like Councilmember Klitze said.
Okay. All right. Moving on. Thank you so very much. Let's see here. Get back to the top of my agenda. All right. Next up, number 5, we've got Adams coming back up for 2 appointments, confirmations. Retirement Director and the Director of Information and Technology.
Yep, excited to bring these 2 current employees who are serving in this interim roles forward for appointment. The first is Christine Schischler, who is currently serving as the Interim Retirement Director. The CERS Board has concurred with her appointment as required by the SMC. The second appointment for consideration is Laz Martinez. Laz is the Interim Director of Information Technology, and we're very grateful for Laz and Christine in those interim roles and excited to have them coming forward for you guys. You'll consider their appointment on the 12th, and because of pay period issues, they'll be permanent on the 19th.
Awesome. Any?
Cool.
Yeah, just quickly, both great choices.
Great, thank you.
Okay, well, that is it for our discussion items. We do have our boards, commissions, updates, and I do not have that list. Oh, there it is. Thank you so much. All right, so council operations. Zach or Jacoby or? Okay.
Well, what have we been working on?
Budget, mostly.
Yeah, it's like we spent a lot of time talking about budget and looking at reductions in the council office for budget. I think we've checked in with other folks to talk about that, but we have made our first mid-year adjustment, and we'll look for more later in the year too for a council budget. But it does have reductions in it. And then we also talked about a process for formalizing LA2 process, and so excited to see that up and running. I imagine that is why we're getting more training up here. It's very exciting to see more professional development and growth for LAs up here.
Yep, and we heard from HR. I can brief individuals later on this about overtime exempt eligibility for council office staff.
That is it. Okay, ARPA work group.
There has been no meeting
There's
since the
no
last one.
meetings. I think all the subgroups that are working on the NOFAs are in direct contact with Caleb, so I think we're moving forward.
And I would say we'll probably have another meeting to talk about any RFPs that didn't come back 100%. Sounds like there's already at least $100,000 right now, potentially more coming back, but we kind of anticipated that and already had preliminary conversations about that.
Equity Subcommittee.
Yeah, we didn't meet last month, but we do have an agenda for next month. We're going to go over comprehensive plan, climate resiliency, also environmental justice. We'll also be going over keeping families together and the SHRC Bill of Rights for the unhoused. And in October, we're planning to have the new chief of police present for our committee.
Okay. Let's see, the IG, that's not happening. Language access. There's not been an actual meeting. I know Alex has had a little bit of an update. Is there anything worth sharing, Alex, or are we just still moving along? Oh, are you coming up for that? Okay. We will hold off on that. Ledge Committee.
I mean, I think we just did our federal update, and, we'll start looking at state stuff here in a couple months. Yeah.
Yes.
All right.
Some ongoing discussions around our favorite topic, waste to energy. So.
Oh, yeah.
It's a big one.
Oh, yeah.
Big one. Okay, Investment Committee, there was not a meeting. Spokane Employees Retirement System.
Yeah, so we've been talking a number of things, investment portfolio and investment strategies. We, as everybody knows, you contribute, 11% of your paycheck towards your pension. And, 30, 40 years ago, that number would have been about, 6.5%, 7% of your paycheck. And so there's only so many levers we can pull to increase the funding ratio. And so we've had serious discussions on potentially being more aggressive, which I'm a big fan of. I want us to be far more aggressive with that, considering we have hundreds of millions of dollars in this, and it's a forever fund. We should be very aggressive with this. That'll help us to increase, the amount in our funding ratio, which should help us decrease the amount that employees are having to pay into their pension. And I know that that'll be something that'll help us to attract, young families as they're looking for a place to call a career. And then, as Mr. McDaniel just talked about, our search board makeup has been a discussion for us. And yeah, I got to confirm some things, but I believe we are at least close to what we had talked about.
All right. Aging long-term care.
There's been no meeting with them. We only meet every other month. But I'll go right into the Association of Washington City. So I'm excited to be participating in September. Lieutenant Governor Denny Heck is doing a workshop conference on civic health. That continues to be an issue around the state of civility in elected office. So look forward to that, along with our retreat in September. Also, was reached out by the Metro Fire Departments to meet with our legislative people on AWC about some needs that are specific to large cities and fire departments. So we're going to make that available to them and to see how we can support what they're going to have for their agenda going forward in November. So I look forward to that.
All right. Fire pension, really no updates there. Is that the same for police?
Absolutely.
Okay. Lodging tax advisory committee?
So we're actually meeting Thursday to look at the amount of funds that come in and the allocation of those dollars. So the RFPs are available and we're reviewing them. So next month we will have an allocation of funds and how much came in and how much went out.
Very good. Okay. And then lodging tax advisory and the TPA commission.
Yeah, TPA doesn't meet more than once or twice a year. And our new tourism and cultural investment group met last month to do preliminary talk about scoring criteria, and that's set. So now the committee's scoring applications. Hopefully, it sounds like we need a little bit more time to score applications. I think we had, Jackson, how many applications? Over 45 applications. So lots of need, but not enough funds to meet all those needs. There's $400,000 in the account right now, and the committee was recommending probably using about $200,000 of it this year to kind of phase it down. It only replenishes about $120 a year, so didn't want to spend it all and then have all the events go away after 1 year. So we'll be meeting, and hopefully next committee will have a set of recommendations for council.
So Councilmember Sapone, so when you open the second round, what's your timeline on that?
Yeah, we discussed that at our last meeting. We went back and forth with different rounds. For this year, timing-wise in the middle, it sounds like they were preferring to do it once for the whole year, and then next year would be around applications around March and September. So they would be for kind of the first 6 months or the second 6 months of the year.
Let's see. The West Plains Public Development Authority, S3R3.
I think going on West Plains on S3R3 did meet with Executive Director, and he is excited and looking forward to coming down to present to council at a study session. So.
Very good. NEPDA, let's see. So we are just going out for our design build RFP, and there will be a whole selection committee that's made up from the state, and so that is going on right now to get our 3011 East Wellesley project going. And then the only other thing I think really is having some initial but maybe hopeful conversations with BNSF regarding a pretty major site in the PDA and whether there's some other opportunities that we could be trying to take advantage of. And it's a little risky. It's going to take a lot of conversation, but I think if that can kind of move its way forward, it's going to be a big benefit to the PDA. So hoping to see that happen.
Councilmember Cardall say that we probably should be in collaboration. We're looking for that same type of project in East Central, and I think the obstacles are the same. WashDOT is doing something new, and they're uncomfortable with change, so this kind of slowing the whole process down.
Yeah.
I think we can get across the finish line.
Council staff updates, Alex, and then Jacoby. And then Kate.
Good afternoon, Council. So just wanted to provide a few different updates on some of the work that I've been doing. I attended the Expo Lands Council Legislative Summit and participated in their immigrant and refugee working group. One of their big talking points was language access. I got to share to our state senators that were there about what we have done in Spokane, but I think a lot of their concerns were more around county and how do we respond in cases of emergencies and in the various languages. So along with that, I've been meeting with Pardis, our new civil rights coordinator, kind of shared the background on our language access ordinance and then also our council's draft plan of the documents that we need to translate and ideals of where we want to get to. We also met with the city of Hillsboro, Oregon, to kind of, they're also in the journey of trying to establish a program and a plan, but it was helpful to meet with them to actually get ideas or questions that they might be having that we're not thinking through. And then again, we did meet the ARPA work group with IT, this giving us a beta model of how to test documents to be translated, so an easier way for staff to be able to upload documents to then have them being translated. We should be able to start testing that in the next few weeks, and the goal is to get that under contract by our timeline so we don't lose that ARPA funding. And council member, I saw you raise your hand when we were talking about language access. Are you?
Yes, I did. Thank you. So we got language access for like working on internal documents, you know, what we do here. What has been the advancement on language access towards the community? We talk about certain groups that come. Do we need translators down here? Is there any movement or any partnerships that are going, that's community-wide, community-based?
Yeah, I think that's something that we're working through. And I can touch base a little bit. I attended the Spokane Refugee Resettlement Quarterly consultations, and there have been a lot of nonprofits that have come up to kind of give some support to immigrants and refugees. You know, I think there was a question that was posed by one of our police officers at that meeting of who do I refer when I come across a family that, you know, they either need a job or they need counseling or something. How do I refer them? Who's doing that work, right? Ideally, there's already agencies that are doing that work at the state level here in Spokane that just haven't built that trust or that capacity to do it. So I think it's ongoing conversations. And that's something that I shared with the Office of Equity at the state level as well.
So is there anyone who actually holds that knowledge? So like, is there, if I go online somewhere, would I find a list of agencies that could direct me to assist a certain immigrant population? How do we provide that as a city? Or even for our officers, if they were going to Google something for housing for the Ukraine population. So that's what I'm trying to get to. How are we publicizing what we do have?
Yeah, I think that's something we could explore with either council or the new civil rights coordinator. I don't know what their plan is on building out a website with various resources that are out there.
I just challenge, like, how much do we actually do on the council side, and really how much that really is on administration to execute that work.
Okay.
And of course, you know, we've got money set aside from ARPA specifically to implement and hopefully be able to get public access going very, very quickly, but it's taking a long time.
Yeah, and as we see the different models of other cities having their own webpage that's built out, that's easier to navigate. And I think those are conversations we're also having with our web team as well. Yeah, so other things is I'm working on a council training for, we're narrowing down the date to September 13th from 10 to 2, and that's with Benita Horn, who works for Association of Washington Cities, so hosting her here in Spokane. It'll be a pilot for that organization, I think, to work with the city to provide this kind of services, so I am looking forward to that. And we are partnering with the administration, so hopefully administrative leadership will be there as well. When it comes to community engagement, I've attended the Spokane Refugee Resettlement consultations, Missing and Murdered Indigenous People Forum, which a representative of the AG's office was there, and kind of sharing how they're improving and streamlining how they respond to missing or murdered Indigenous people, and it was. And that was the biggest takeaway for me, since I had, since I knew that was one of those gaps that existed. It's still very important to do the reporting and do it quickly so they can get on those cases. And then I'm partnering with the Office of Equity at the state level to see how we bring community members and their office also together, so they can share about the work that they're doing around the region. And we're meeting, so also upcoming, we're meeting with Small Business Administration and AHANA to kind of revisit the 2022 Strategic Alliance Memorandum on how important it is for equity and entrepreneurship ecosystem. And then, yeah. Ongoing support and advice. I am on the Fifth Avenue sub-area planning, consolidated planning process with CHHS, and then the Climate Technical Advisory Committee for planning. And then to highlight, one of my highlights of the past month was I was invited to a trip to Whatcom to see kind of what it took for them to pass the levy to build the jail, and also 50% of that funding for services. It was a broad group that got to attend, but one of the main takeaways that I want to recognize is that, and that they recognized, was the importance of doing community listening sessions as they're developing a plan, and that was something that helped them get that levy passed, and just recognizing that I've seen some of the work that Maggie had done around public listening sessions, and we got to partner on hosting two, around one with Native Project and the other one with the Way to Justice, to focus on more diverse groups as well. So, yeah. Any questions?
Okay. Alex, you said there's a training by AWC, but you didn't say what the training is.
Oh, our equity training for AWC. I believe Jacoby shared a hold on everybody's calendar, so we could.
So this is a council thing, not with the Office of Civil Rights?
Yep, it's a council thing, but
Oh,
we're
okay.
partnering with them.
Gotcha. All right. Well, if it's the 13th, I won't be there. I have NEPDA that day, but I did do hours and hours of this 3 years ago, so I'm okay.
Thank you.
All right. Anything else? Okay. Moving on, Jacoby.
Hi, Council. Thank you for having me here. Couple updates from me on completed projects. We officially adjusted the title of our legislative assistants to legislative assistant. They were previously council assistants, made that title change. You all approved an LA2 promotion opportunity, and we've been working through the particulars of making sure that that's available to those who have been here longer than a year. Good job, Shay. You're doing an excellent job taking over F&A today and the tech associated with that. Over the last month, I also worked with the Council Ops Work Group to submit our preliminary budget reductions. I'm really proud of us as an office for continuing to lead in that realm. We cut our sustainability position in that proposal and are in conversations with administration about finding a different way to fund things like memberships that apply to the city as a whole, that we've historically housed, like National League of Cities in the council's office, and maybe we can do that in a different, better way where we can see what we all have at the city and then maybe identify what's working and what's not. So I can send you all the details of that. I don't know if I have already, so I'll send you like the in-depth response I gave to our accountants. I've also been onboarding our budget director and created a template for the staff reports, and have been working recently on recruiting pro and con committees. That's always a challenge, always looking for feedback on better ways to do that. And when I send out those media releases, I think it's really helpful if you all are able to share them on your socials and direct people my way if you hear of anybody.
On that line, do you send them out to any of the neighborhood chairs or anything?
No, that's a really good idea. I don't, I could maybe even go through the CA for that too.
I tend to find my most active
Yeah.
citizens are in those.
Yep, that's great. And then kind of been piloting this new process for responding to boards and commissions that we talked about earlier. It was way too long to wait 6 months or a year to respond to the CA, but it really did. They were great partners in helping us kind of build this new way of having a regular process for neighborhoods and boards and commissions to get things in front of you and get timely responses. And then lastly, I wanted to just highlight that the new-ish in the last year on-base process is working really well. I've been finding that we've been getting really good partnership from pretty much every department in the city, and getting their items submitted to the correct committee and reaching out to you all if they need exemptions. I think it's working well. So if you do see other opportunities to grow in that area, let me know. But I think it's proven useful for the administration as well to be able to get those approvals for items that are coming to committee up front, so that there's just a greater amount of transparency and collaboration amongst both council and administration. Things coming down the pike for me, I've been working with HR on a couple of projects, including clarification of overtime exemption for city or council office staff. I'm also working with HR on kind of integrating the city's annual performance appraisal review practices into the council office. And a longer-term project in my world is figuring out how to get our online, our testimony sign-up form integrated into the website. Currently, it's a Google form. It's pretty clunky. You've heard people come up here and say it's not working for them for one reason or another. I don't like that I'm the only person who can see who signed up for things. So in my ideal world, I'm working with Web to set up a web page where once somebody clicks the item that they want to testify on, they appear on a public-facing page, and they can go verify that, yep, I'm on open forum and there's about 20 people there. Maybe I'll speak, maybe I won't. And we can just have that up on the big screen for testimony moving forward. So that's kind of what I have this month for y'all. Do you have any questions?
Questions,
Comments,
comments?
concerns? Great.
Seeing none. All right, thank you. And Kate, if you want to just kind of give us a brief little intro/update.
Well, thank you all for welcoming me to my first presentation. I sent each of you an email that is a spreadsheet that I'll try to send out weekly that just updates you on each of my projects. It's got a description of the task, the priority, the status, the date it was assigned, if there's a due date, that's listed. There's a little Gantt chart to show you the % completion, and then just notes to describe in more detail the project and who assigned it. So I just wanted you to know, please check your email. I also did send you each a brief survey last week that I had received from my predecessor in this role, a series of spreadsheets of numbers that he was tracking. And I wanted to know from each of you your priorities of what you like to see and when you like to see them. So Jacoby was kind enough to be my guinea pig. He took the survey. It took him 1 minute and 37 seconds to complete. So it will not be a large investment of your time, but it would be a huge payoff to me if you could each fill out that survey. So just or you can drop by my office if that's easier. So let me know. I'm currently working on a series of small projects, some of them larger than others, but mostly small projects. For the last 2 weeks that I've been here, mostly have been just trying to get software. And I've got the budgeting software very late Friday, so I've been spending the morning just trying to familiarize myself with it. I think my greatest challenge is going to be just getting the training on the accounting software so that I can pull the data that we need. I am working right now on specific projects. Probably the 3 largest ones are costing out, if we were to add 3 official holidays, what that would look like. And I've been collaborating with Mike Ormsby and HR on that. And then I think I'll be reaching out to Matt Boston and his team. Then I've been asked to research what would it look like if we fully implemented Proposition 1 versus where we are today. What would the cost differential look like? And so I've already reached out to SPD on that and gotten a commitment to get some numbers on that. And then I've been working with Nicolette on another project, which is, well, it's still within Proposition 1 costing, but looking at the other multifaceted costs that would be associated with more complete implementation of that. And then finally, I sent you all another email, so getting a lot of emails from me, an analysis of the costs of the early SPD retirements that have been proposed. I have some questions that I think the council and myself might want to be asking, and just wanted to, again, bring your attention to that. So I, again, just want to thank you all for the warm welcome and your patience with me as I get scaled up. And I really do hope you'll all continue to come to me with anything I can help you with.
All right. Thank you so much, and it's great to have you in the office, so welcome.
Great.
If there is nothing, no questions, no comments, nothing for the good of the order, all right, we're adjourned.